Hey, warriors, you've been played. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. And the worst part? You never even saw it coming. Someone said the right thing at the right moment, and suddenly you were angry. Someone pulled back from you slightly, and suddenly you were chasing them like your life depended on it. Someone questioned one decision you made, and suddenly you were spending hours, maybe days, trying to prove yourself to a person who didn't even matter. That's what it means to be emotionally influenced, and it's been happening to you your entire life. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. It's not entirely their fault, because the people who influence you emotionally, they're not always doing it consciously. Most of them are operating on pure instinct, pushing buttons, pulling strings, triggering reactions, because somewhere along the way, they figured out that your emotions are a lever, and when they pull that lever, you move. You respond when you should stay quiet. You defend yourself to people who made up their minds before you even opened your mouth. You chase people who were counting on that exact behavior. You spend your best mental energy explaining yourself to people who were never genuinely interested in understanding you. And all of this happens because you were never taught the one thing that changes everything: how to protect your emotional world from the people who want to use it against you. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this game centuries ago. He watched kings get misled by advisors. He watched generals get defeated not on the battlefield of war, but in the room of negotiation, where emotions made them weak and predictable. He watched brilliant men brought down not by their enemy's strength, but by their own inability to control how they felt and how they reacted. And from all of that observation, from all of that study, he extracted the truth that most people spend their whole lives never learning. The person who controls their emotions in any interaction controls the outcome of that interaction. Every single time. That's what today is about. I'm going to give you 7 principles, 7 psychology strategies rooted in Machiavellian thinking that will make you completely impossible to emotionally influence. After today, nobody pulls your strings without your permission. After today, nobody uses your emotions against you. After today, you become the most emotionally grounded version of yourself that has ever existed. Before we begin, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments: nobody influences me. Let's get into it. Number 1. Understand the game before you refuse to play it. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They try to protect themselves from emotional influence without ever understanding how emotional influence actually works. They're defending against an attack they've never studied. And that's exactly why they keep losing. So before we talk about how to protect yourself, you need to understand the mechanics. You need to see the system. Because once you understand exactly how people trigger your emotions without you realizing it, their tactics lose power completely. Here's the foundation of all emotional influence. It targets your identity, not your logic, not your reasoning, your identity, your sense of who you are, what you're worth, and how other people perceive you. Because your identity is the most emotionally charged thing you carry. It's the core of your entire psychological world. And when someone threatens it, even slightly, even subtly, your brain goes into emergency mode. And in emergency mode, you're not thinking clearly, you're reacting. Think about the last time something someone said genuinely got under your skin. Chances are it wasn't just a surface-level comment. It touched a deeper belief you hold about yourself. Maybe someone implied you weren't as smart as you think you are. Maybe they suggested you weren't as capable as you believe. Maybe they made you feel like people don't respect you the way you deserve. That's always the target. That's always the entry point. Skilled emotional influencers, even the ones doing it unconsciously, find that target and press it. They make a comment that questions your competence. They give you just enough attention to make you want more, then pull it away at the perfect moment. They frame situations in ways that make you feel like you're the one who's wrong, the one who needs to prove something, the one who caused the problem. And your brain, because it's wired to protect your identity, takes the bait every single time. Here's what Machiavelli understood about this. In any court, in any room, in any relationship, the person who understands the emotional game being played is the person who controls it. You cannot protect yourself from a trap you don't see, but the moment you see it, truly see it, clearly and without emotion, it loses all its power over you. So starting today, your first job in any interaction is to observe before you react. When you feel an emotional surge, when something someone says makes you suddenly defensive, suddenly anxious, suddenly desperate to prove yourself, pause, just for 1 second. Ask yourself, what just happened? What were they actually doing? Was that a genuine statement, or was that a trigger? Are they reacting to reality, or are they trying to create a reaction in me? That 1 second pause changes everything, because in that pause you step out of the emotional brain and into the strategic brain. You stop being a player in their game and start being an observer of it. And observers don't get influenced. Only players do. Once you understand the mechanics, once you can see the trap in real time, you've already won. Because you cannot be emotionally influenced by something you clearly see for exactly what it is. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I see the game. Number 2, make your emotional reactions a privilege, not a right. Most people treat their emotional reactions like their public property. Someone says something, they react immediately. Someone does something, they respond right away. Someone pushes a button, they move on command. It's completely automatic, completely uncontrolled, and completely visible to anyone who's paying attention. That visibility is the problem, because your emotional reactions are information. Every time you visibly react to something, you're telling the world exactly what matters to you. You're handing them a detailed map of your vulnerabilities. You're showing them precisely which buttons to press the next time they want to get a result from you. Machiavelli wrote about this in the context of political survival. Leaders who wore their emotions openly became easy targets. Their advisors knew how to please them, which meant they also knew how to influence them. Their enemies knew what provoked them, which meant they could predict and control their behavior. The solution was to make emotional reactions a controlled, deliberate choice rather than an automatic public performance. And that's exactly what you need to do. Here's the principle. You are allowed to feel everything. Anger, hurt, frustration, jealousy, fear, all of it is valid, all of it is human. You don't suppress emotions. What you do is stop performing them for an audience that doesn't deserve the show. Feeling hurt is human. Showing that hurt to the person who caused it in real time, giving them the satisfaction of knowing they got to you, that's giving away power. There is a massive difference between experiencing an emotion internally and broadcasting it externally, and the most psychologically powerful people in the world have mastered that difference completely. When someone says something designed to provoke you and they see no reaction, not forced calm, not suppressed rage barely contained, but genuine settled indifference, they lose instantly, because they fired an attempt expecting an explosion and got nothing, and that nothing communicates something powerful. You don't matter enough to move me. Practice this starting today, not by becoming cold, but by creating a gap between what you feel and what you show. Feel it privately, process it internally, But in your visible behavior, in your external interactions, you choose what you display. You choose when, to whom, and how much. Your emotional world becomes private property. And private property has a gate. That gate has a lock, and you hold the only key. When you operate from that place, people stop having the ability to use your own feelings against you, because they can no longer see your feelings clearly enough to aim at them. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My reactions are mine to give. Number 3, remove the reward from every influence attempt. People keep doing what works. If a behavior gets them what they want from you, they will repeat that behavior. Always, without exception. And this is precisely why you keep experiencing the same influence tactics from the same people in an endless loop. Because somewhere along the way, those tactics produced results, and you never stopped them from producing results. Think about this carefully. When someone guilt trips you and you eventually give in, what have you taught them? That guilt works on you. When someone withdraws emotionally and you're the first one to reach out, anxious to restore the connection, what have you shown them? That pulling away makes you chase. When someone questions your decisions and you immediately launch into a lengthy defense, what have you communicated? That challenging you is the fastest way to get all of your attention and energy focused on them. Every single one of those responses is a reward, and rewarded behavior gets repeated indefinitely. Machiavelli understood this dynamic in terms of court politics. Advisors and rivals who wanted to control a powerful figure would find the behaviors that produced results: flattery, manufactured urgency, deliberate provocations, and they would use those behaviors relentlessly. The only way to end the influence was to end the reward system. The same principle applies directly to your life. If you want someone to stop emotionally influencing you, you need to remove every reward from their attempts. Not aggressively, not dramatically, quietly, systematically, and completely. When someone guilt trips you, you don't argue against the guilt. You don't justify yourself at length. You don't get visibly defensive. You simply make a decision based on what you actually want to do, not based on managing their emotional performance or making their discomfort go away. When someone withdraws to make you chase them, you don't chase. You let the distance stand. You fill your time with people and activities that genuinely matter to you. You make it unmistakably clear, not through words, but through your actual behavior, that your emotional well-being is not dependent on their proximity. When someone questions you to trigger your insecurity, you don't become defensive. You respond with calm, minimal words if you respond at all. You don't give them the reaction they were counting on. Every time you remove the reward, you're retraining the dynamic. You're communicating at a subconscious level that these tactics don't produce results with you anymore. And people, this is basic human psychology, stop using approaches that consistently fail to work. They either adjust to you on your terms, or they find someone else who's easier to influence. Either way, you win. The influence only continues because it keeps working. Take away the result, and you take away the incentive. It's that direct. Number 4, use emotional neutrality as a mirror. Most people think emotional neutrality is purely defensive, a way to protect yourself by not reacting. But neutrality, used with real intention, is actually far more active than that. It functions as a mirror that reflects people's own behavior back at them in a way that genuinely unsettles them. Here's how it works. When someone approaches you with charged emotional energy, anger, pressure, passive aggression, dramatic urgency, they're carrying an expectation. That expectation is that you'll match their energy in some way. You'll get defensive so they can argue. You'll get emotional so they can claim instability on your part. You'll scramble to fix things so they can feel the power of having caused your discomfort. They need a reaction from you to complete their emotional loop. When you respond instead with complete neutrality, calm, steady, genuinely unaffected, you break that loop. The emotional energy they brought into the interaction has nowhere to go, so it turns back toward them. They find themselves facing their own behavior with nothing between them and it. People who raise their voice at someone who remains calm suddenly become aware of how loud they're being. People who use pressure tactics on someone who stays grounded suddenly feel how transparent their strategy is. People who try to destabilize someone truly secure in themselves suddenly realize, sometimes for the very first time, that the intensity of this interaction says more about them than it does about you. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately as a power reversal, executed without a single aggressive word or action. You didn't attack, you didn't defend. You simply held your ground with such complete emotional steadiness that the other person's own behavior became their undoing. The key is that this must be genuine neutrality, not a performed version of it. Because people can sense the difference. If you're forcing calmness on top of buried anger, that tension leaks in your posture, in the slight tension around your jaw, in the almost imperceptible edge in your voice. The moment they sense that the calm is a mask, the power shifts back to them. Real neutrality comes from a place of deep internal security. It comes from genuinely understanding that someone else's emotional state is not your emergency and not your responsibility. Their anger belongs to them. Their drama belongs to them. Their pressure tactics belong entirely to them. You can witness all of it without absorbing any of it. When you operate from that level of security, you become a mirror. And most people, when they finally see themselves clearly reflected, with no emotional reaction from you blurring the image, don't particularly like what they see. That moment of self-recognition, that sudden shift in how they perceive their own behavior, is more powerful and more lasting than anything you could have said to them in confrontation. You change the dynamic without a single word of conflict. That is power. Number 5. Control the frame by controlling your response timing. Machiavelli was deeply focused on timing throughout his writing. He observed that the exact same action, taken at different moments, could produce completely opposite outcomes. A move made too early signals desperation. A move made too late signals weakness. A move made at precisely the right moment, or the deliberate strategic choice not to move at all, can completely shift the balance of any interaction. Most people are terrible at timing their emotional responses, and they don't even realize it. They react the moment they feel something because waiting feels unbearable. Someone sends a message designed to provoke. They respond within seconds. Someone makes them feel insecure. They seek reassurance immediately. Someone says something hurtful. They fire back before they've had a single moment to think. And all of that immediacy is information that works against them. It tells the other person exactly how much power their words carry. Because genuine security doesn't rush. Genuine confidence takes its time. The person who responds immediately from a place of being triggered has already communicated, before they've said a single word, that the provocation landed. But the person who waits, who takes time, who responds on their own schedule, who demonstrates through their very timing that there's no crisis here requiring immediate management, that person controls the emotional frame of the interaction completely. They've shown that they are not governed by the other person's emotional calendar. This is not about being cold or playing strategic games with people's feelings. This is about something simpler and more powerful, responding when you're genuinely ready rather than when you've been triggered into urgency. Before you respond to anything carrying emotional weight, create space, even 5 minutes, even an hour. Use that space not to craft a clever response, but to return to yourself, to let the initial emotional charge settle, to ask honestly, what do I actually want to communicate here? What response genuinely serves my dignity and my peace? What answer comes from my values rather than from the part of me that was just hurt or threatened? The response that emerges from that space is always cleaner, always more composed, always more powerful than whatever your reactive mind would have produced in that first raw, unprocessed moment. And the secondary effect of practicing this consistently is significant. People begin to understand that they don't control your pace. They can't rush you into a corner. They fire the emotional provocation and then they wait because they've learned through experience with you that you will respond when you are ready. That dynamic alone reshapes how much influence they actually have over you. Timing is a form of authority. The person who controls when they respond controls the rhythm of every interaction. Learn to use that. Number 6. Build your life around relationships that don't require performance. A significant portion of your emotional vulnerability comes not from being weak, but from being in the wrong rooms. From building your life around relationships and environments that require you to constantly perform a version of yourself that isn't actually you. You perform confidence when you're actually uncertain. You perform happiness when you're genuinely struggling. You perform agreement when you actually see things differently. You perform being fine when you're clearly not. And all of that ongoing performance, that constant management of your image, drains your psychological resources in ways that go far deeper than you probably realize. But here's what makes it specifically dangerous from an emotional influence standpoint. The people you're performing for hold something you desperately want: their approval, their continued presence, their positive perception of you. And as long as you need something from them, as long as their opinion of you affects your sense of yourself, they have enormous power to influence your emotions, because they control access to the validation you're performing to earn. Machiavelli observed this dynamic constantly in political courts. Advisors who shaped themselves entirely around what the ruler wanted to see were never truly secure, no matter how favorably they were positioned. Their entire standing depended on maintaining the performance. The moment the ruler's preferences shifted, they had nothing real to stand on. Real security, real emotional strength is built in relationships where the performance isn't required, where you can show up uncertain, imperfect, and unpolished, and that's not only acceptable, but genuinely welcomed, where your value isn't conditional on how well you manage your image on any given day. Those relationships exist, but building them requires something most people avoid because it feels risky. You have to stop performing before the relationship feels completely secure. You have to let people see something real about you, including your uncertainty, your imperfection, your actual opinions, and allow them to decide whether they want that version of you. Not the curated version, just you. The people who choose to stay after seeing something unfiltered and real, those are the people in whose presence you are genuinely safe. Those are people who want you in their life, not just your highlight reel. And in those relationships, emotional influence loses its grip because you're not performing, which means there's no image to threaten, no approval to strategically withhold, no fear of being seen as you really are. Honestly examine the key relationships in your life right now. In which ones are you performing? What are you afraid will happen if you stop? The answer to that question identifies exactly what that person holds over you emotionally and exactly what needs to shift. Surround yourself with people and environments where your presence is enough. That is where your emotional armor becomes real, not because you've built walls, but because you've finally stopped needing them. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't perform, I exist. Number 7, become the author of your own emotional story. This is the final principle, and it's the one that anchors everything else. Because all the awareness in the world, all the neutrality, all the timing, all the boundary setting, none of it holds long-term without the foundation underneath it. And that foundation is this: becoming the deliberate author of your own emotional narrative instead of an unconscious character in someone else's. Here's what that means in real terms. Right now, there is a story running in your head about who you are, where your value comes from, what you deserve, what you need from other people to feel okay about yourself. That story was written by 1,000 different experiences. Things people said to you when you were young, how you were treated in relationships that mattered, what you absorbed about worth and belonging from the world around you. And most people are living out that story without ever having consciously chosen it. They didn't write it, they inherited it. And because they've never examined it, never questioned it, never decided whether it's actually true, that story continues to be rewritten in real time by every interaction, every triggering comment, every person who comes along knowing exactly which beliefs to poke. That's emotional influence at its deepest level. It's not just a tactic someone uses in a single moment. It's someone accessing the foundation, the belief system you've been carrying unconsciously, and pulling the strings that foundation gave them. And it worked because you never looked at the foundation yourself. Machiavelli's most enduring insight about power wasn't tactical, it was philosophical. The leader who truly knows himself cannot be made into something he is not. The person who has a clear, examined, deliberately chosen understanding of their own values and their own worth. That person cannot be emotionally destabilized by someone else's narrative because they are already living inside their own. When you know who you are, not what conditioning told you, not what insecure people projected onto you, but what you have chosen deliberately and clearly for yourself, then no one can credibly threaten that. They can question it, they can challenge it, they can try to replace it with their version of you. But if you're the author of the story, you hold the pen. Their attempts to reshape your identity are simply words that don't take hold. So here is the actual work. Get genuinely clear on your values. Not as aspirations, but as real operating principles. What do you actually stand for in practice when it costs you something? What are you willing to lose rather than compromise? The person who can answer those questions clearly and honestly cannot be easily influenced, because those who seek to influence you need your values to be fuzzy and conditional. Clarity is your protection. Get honest about your worth, not based on your productivity or your attractiveness or how useful you are to other people. As a baseline, what are you worth simply as a person before you've done anything to prove it? If you can't answer that from a place of genuine certainty, then anyone who offers to define your worth for you becomes a risk. And the person whose approval you're seeking to feel okay about yourself is the person who holds the most power to influence you. Get real about what you actually need, not what the wounded parts of you crave, not the validation and constant reassurance that the insecure self hungers, but what you genuinely need to live with integrity and peace. When you know that concretely, you stop unconsciously outsourcing your emotional stability to other people's behavior. You stop needing them to act a certain way so you can feel a certain way. And the person who doesn't need you in a desperate, unexamined way is the person you simply cannot influence, because there's no leverage available. This is the deepest form of emotional protection that exists. It's not armor you construct over your existing wounds. It's examining the wounds themselves, understanding where they came from, deciding what's actually true about you, and building from that truth rather than from the fear. You become someone who cannot be influenced, not because you've become unreachable, but because there is nothing inside you that fear still owns, because you have already looked at yourself clearly, chosen yourself deliberately, and built your identity on something real enough that no one else's opinion of you can shake its foundation. That's what untouchable actually means. Not invulnerable to life, not closed off from people, but so grounded in yourself that when the storm of someone else's pressure comes, you bend, but you don't break. You feel it, but you don't become it, and you return to yourself completely every single time. Become the author, pick up the pen, and watch how the people who used to move you discover they no longer have access to the controls. Let's talk about what you now have. You came into this knowing something was wrong, that you kept reacting when you didn't want to, that you kept getting pulled into emotional situations that drained and destabilized you, that the same patterns kept repeating with different people, and no matter what you tried, the cycle wouldn't break. Now you understand exactly why and exactly what to do about it. You've learned that emotional influence always targets identity, and that the only real protection is knowing your identity so completely and deliberately that no one else can threaten it. You've learned that your emotional reactions are valuable information, and that showing them freely to people who don't deserve them is one of the most fundamental ways you give your power away. You've learned that influence survives only as long as it's rewarded, and that removing the reward is the most direct, most effective way to end the cycle. You've learned that emotional neutrality is not passivity. It's an active mirror that turns other people's energy back on them and forces an honest self-reckoning they didn't expect. You've learned that timing is a form of authority, and that the person who responds from genuine readiness rather than triggered urgency controls the frame of every interaction. You've learned that performance-based relationships are the source of your deepest emotional vulnerability, and that building connections where you don't have to perform is not a luxury, but a necessity. And finally, you've learned that all of it rests on a single foundation: becoming the conscious, deliberate author of your own emotional story. Choosing your values, your worth, and your identity with such clarity that no one else's narrative can overwrite it. These are not just ideas. These are operating principles, laws for how you move through the world from this point forward. And if you apply them, not occasionally, not when it's easy, but consistently in every interaction, starting right now, something will shift that you will feel immediately. The people who used to drain you will stop getting the result they came for. The tactics that used to work on you will stop working. The emotional chaos that seemed to follow you will quiet down. Not because the world became gentler, but because you became more grounded than the chaos can reach. You'll be genuinely difficult to influence, not because you closed yourself off from life, but because you finally took back authorship of your own emotional world and decided that your peace, your attention, and your reactions belong to you alone, and they are not available to just anyone who decides to reach for them. Machiavelli spent his life studying what separates the people who thrive and lead from the people who get overwhelmed and left behind. Across every court and every power struggle he observed, the answer was always the same. The ones who mastered themselves could not be mastered by anyone else. That mastery is available to you right now, not eventually, now. Because the moment you genuinely decide that you are the author of your emotional story, that is the moment the game changes, permanently. So, I'm going to ask you one final time. Are you done getting influenced? If the answer is yes, prove it. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I am uninfluenceable. If this shifted something in how you see yourself, hit that like button and share this with someone who's been stuck in the same patterns. Someone who needs to hear that they don't have to keep handing their power away. Subscribe to this channel, because we're building something here, a community of people who have chosen to operate from power instead of reaction, from clarity instead of confusion, from genuine strength instead of performance. You are uninfluenceable now. Act like it.